Hear me out. I, 31, and my husband tried for 5 years to get pregnant. Testing eventually revealed I have eggs of freaking steel, and without medical help I'll never get pregnant. So that's what we did. Gave our samples, one petri dish, and 9 months later I have 2 beautiful fraternal twin boys. Jack and Adam. Thing is, Jake has a condition. Without going into detail, requires a shot once a week. Once he is older, he can take pills. I went back to work and mother-in-law offered to watch the babes. She's wonderful. I trust her 100%. They were 9 months, now 16 months. During this time she would give his injection as we had a schedule. 10 a.m. before snack and app. Worked very well until a month ago, when she gave the shot to the wrong kid. Now, they may be fraternal, but they look identical. I'll be honest, my husband and I even mix them up sometimes. Everyone does. She immediately noticed her mistake, called 911, and they were transferred to the hospital. By the time I got there, Adam had been given the reversal agent, and they were both happily sipping on juice, loving the attention. We went home the same night, told to push fluids. He was never in danger. It's a very slow-acting medication that, at worst, would have given him diarrhea in a few days. Mother-in-law was beside herself. I tried to ease her worry, but she refused to babysit, so to daycare they went. This daycare has a nurse cause some of the kids have medications, so she knew what to do, but the worry of mixing up the kids was a valid concern, and they would not keep name tags on. Doctor recommended a medical tattoo. Explained they tattoo a freckle, no bigger than the end of a pencil eraser, on an area of skin that's easily seen while the child is under mild sedation similar to dental offices. Because of the area, it usually fades in 2 or 3 years, but by then they should have developed more personal features and may not need it redone. So after discussion with my husband, we did it. He has a 2 mm brown freckle on his earlobe. From entering the office to leaving it took 30 minutes. Never felt a thing. Mother-in-law lost her crap the second I mentioned a medical tattoo. I tried to explain, but she just freaked out, so I put both kids on the floor and told her to pick up Jack and find the tattoo. She picked up Adam, so I handed her Jack, and after 20 minutes still couldn't find it. Stripped him to his skivvies. I finally pointed it out, and she went, "That's just a freckle I just said." My point exactly. Adam doesn't have a freckle there. So that's how daycare can tell them apart. She's still ranting. Once I explained to others, and they fail to find it, they understand, but they still think I went too far in tattooing my child and altering their body. I believe I took the necessary precautions recommended by the doctor, and the tattoo will fade with sun exposure, and as he grows. By the time he's 5 it probably won't even be visible, or it'll just look like a faded freckle. So, am I the idiot? First of all, not the idiot. Secondly, what's happening to other people's reactions? This isn't cosmetic, like pierced ears on a baby. This is potentially life-saving. I know you said that it shouldn't harm the other twin, but still. You did the right thing, absolutely. Kids, babies, toddlers, whatever, are a pain to make them do what you want them to do when you're there. They will do what they want to do, so there wasn't anything else you could do realistically. I have identical twins, and when they were babies they needed different medications. In a stretch of pure sleeplessness, I gave them the wrong meds. I almost couldn't forgive myself. If it were a serious, can kill you med, I would have done the exact same thing. No question. I know how I felt mixing up reflux meds. I couldn't imagine something more serious. Truth be told, I still confuse my boys today, and they are 9. Not the idiot. Side note, if they look that much alike, you may consider doing a test to see if they are actually identical. I have twins, and was told they were fraternal from pregnancy on. But they looked so much alike, and everyone always thought they were identical. I finally had them tested when they were 7, and turns out they were identical. I later learned they are considered identical twins because they had their own sac and placenta, which caused them to be incorrectly identified as fraternal. My fiancé and I wanted to do something small from the off. We made bookings and placed deposits about 4 months ago. We don't plan on doing anything ridiculous, just a short ceremony, then food and dancing. Guest list is around 60 people, which covers both families, a handful of friends and plus ones. Very low-key, pretty small, and I don't think it's extravagant at all. Here's the problem. Last December, so within weeks of us placing deposits and making plans, my sister was left at the altar. She found out she wasn't getting married when the groom showed up to the church late, asked her to go into another room with him in full view of everyone already seated, and a few minutes later she left the church while he announced that the wedding was off. Her wedding was significantly larger, with almost everyone on my part of my guest list also being included on hers, and while we're not doing any sort of bridesmaids and groomsmen, except for my son as ring bearer, I was her bridesmaid at her wedding and went after her when the groom finished speaking. I had a phone call with my sister last week, and after about 5 minutes she asked if my wedding was still going ahead. I said of course it was, why wouldn't it be? She said no reason, and then said she had to go. I called mom today, and she asked why I was talking about my wedding with my sister, said I upset her, and need to tone the wedding down. I thought she meant talking about the wedding, and responded that my sister was the one who asked, but then mom said she meant the actual wedding. I asked what that meant, and mom began to remind me that she and dad got married in their work clothes in the registrar's office with 2 witnesses. I said that we will not be doing that. She then asked me how I thought it felt for my sister to see me getting married so soon after her wedding day. She wants me to bring it all the way down to me, my husband, my son, and my husband's parents in the registrar's office. When I asked why she and dad weren't listed, she said they'd need to be with my sister. I know this was juvenile, but I told her to put dad on. I then asked him what he thought, and I admit I was fully expecting him to side with me. He then said if we couldn't get our deposits back, he would reimburse us. I said no, he's not paying us a penny because we're not canceling. He then said it would be easier for everyone. I said I had to go. Texted my sister saying what they just told me, asking if she actually felt like that, and she confirmed it, and went on to say I was insensitive or cruel for going ahead with my wedding after what happened with hers, and that our weddings should never have been so close together. Anyway, my fiancé says we shouldn't let her wedding affect ours, and while I do want to be sensitive to her, I kind of agree with him. The plans were made and deposits placed before my sister's wedding. There's an 11-month gap between them, and while I want her there, I feel we're already going fairly low-key, and it's unfair they expect me and my fiancé to shrink it to 5 people in the registrar's office. However, I still have this guilt in the pit of my stomach, and I feel really bad at upsetting my sister. I don't want to lose her over this, but I feel she's being unreasonable. Am I the idiot? This is my thinking too. I seriously doubt any decent therapist would be on board with a suggestion that a patient's family member should change their wedding around because they are upset about it. Especially if they're not dealing with their feelings and just wallowing in them. Plus, where's the guarantee that this would even help her feel better? Suppose OP did bow down to the sister's wishes, and then she realized that she's actually bothered that OP is married when she is still single. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. Your parents sound like major idiots. It's sad that your sister got left at the altar, but her bad experience shouldn't have anything to do with your happy day. You deserve a happy wedding day, just about you, and your spouse and your sister shouldn't have any consideration in that. I'd let your parents know how much they hurt you by putting your sister's feelings before yours and taking away from your day. Let them know you still plan to go forward with your wedding, and you'd like them there, and then enjoy your day. Not the idiot. I can't believe your parents expect you to basically give up your wedding because it will hurt your sister. I think in all of this, I would be more upset at their blatant favoritism. And to top it all off, the 3 of them wouldn't even come to the one they are demanding you tone down. Is this a common theme for your parents? Favoring your sister, I mean? This reminds me of the post about the parents that expected their daughter to give her wedding to her sister because she was pregnant and needed it more. I 27 am a nurse. My fiancé and I have a 1-year-old baby boy. Fiancé doesn't work. She decided to leave her previous job and stay at home. We've agreed that since I'm the one working, she's the one handling home chores. Our son's care is shared, meaning there are times when I handle his feeding, bathing, cleaning, etc. However, I made it clear that when it's time for work, she should be taking responsibility. So far, everything has been going according to what we agreed upon. But recently she's been complaining about my shift hours changing, which is something I can't control obviously, because currently the unit lacks in nurses, and it's impossible for me to do day-to-day planning, because sometimes I'd work 12 hours. Sometimes 15. So it's quite unpredictable, but I do my best to spend time at home and give my fiancée time for herself. Her cousin's wedding was 2 days ago. That morning, my fiancé wanted me to skip work and stay home with our son, so she'd go to the salon with her sisters. I told her I can't just skip work for the day. I already had a long day shift that started at 7:45 am till 6 p.m. I told her she could either call my mom or just wait for me to come home. She threw a fit and saying her cousin's wedding was important and I was being unsupportive. I left home after that and started my shift at the hospital at around 1 p.m. When I was in the middle of work, it usually gets busier in the afternoon. I got a few missed calls from my fiancé. Then she sent a text telling me she was at the hospital's parking lot with our son. I went to meet her there. She wanted me to take our son and watch him till she gets back from the salon at 4. I lost it. I told her I can't watch our son when I'm in the middle of my shift, and she kept saying I should just let him stay with me and that it was okay. I absolutely lashed out at her. I called her unreasonable and selfish. She could have let someone watch him, but she said her family was busy. We got into an argument, and she left him with me. I had to drive to mom's house and let her have him till I finished my shift. I got home, and I was extremely angry. My fiancé and her mom said I overreacted and that I was supposed to help since he's my son too. Mother-in-law said I was in the wrong for caring more about work than my own son, but I already told my fiancé I was busy. She wanted me to apologize for yelling and causing a scene, but I refused after this. I want to mention that she's normally fine with my work schedule until recently, and whenever there's an event, we'd both make arrangements, and I'd stay with our son while she's gone. This time I told her I was busy and that I won't be allowing her to distract me from work, but she was being stubborn, thinking I'm prioritizing work and being unsupportive. Those might be her mother's words, but my fiancé takes responsibility here. This misunderstanding, as my fiancé calls it, could have ended with a discussion, but her mother is determined to paint me as the bad parent who isn't pulling weight and taking part in responsibility and caring for our son. I'm tired of her and how she keeps judging me while ignoring her daughter's behavior. Not the idiot. I am a little baffled by what I just read. I understand that she wants to be part of the group, but I guess the baby could more easily be included in her day than yours. What were you supposed to do with the baby at work? Also, did she even call your mom to ask her to babysit? I guess not, because you were able to get her help. I don't think you overreacted. Also, I guess this was a salon date that has been scheduled for a while. Your fiancé thought it was okay to abandon your 1-year-old son with you in the middle of your working shift so that she can enjoy her activity with her cousin at the salon. She did not consider contacting your mother to babysit for a few hours. These actions all indicate that she prioritizes her wants over your obligation to your work and that of her own obligation to care for or have another family member to care for her child. Not the idiot. Not the idiot. Your fiancé, who doesn't work, wants you, a nurse who works 15 hours a day taking care of sick and dying patients, to take care of your 1-year-old child while she goes to get her hair done. Am I reading this right? And then she goes to your workplace and leaves the baby there So not only do you have to take care of dying contagious patients, but also wheel your 1-year-old around? This is the most selfish thing I've ever heard of. I, 26, recently got diagnosed with blood cancer, Hodgkin lymphoma. I started experiencing vague symptoms like tiredness, itchy hands and feet, sweating. After a few visits to my local hospital, I was referred to an oncologist and was diagnosed with stage 2B after a week of scans. It was a lot, and I was trying to keep my focus on my social life and work. While starting my chemotherapy, I received chemo on an outpatient unit, alongside oral chemotherapy and steroids. Despite dealing with the side effects, I was focusing on getting through this, but my husband, 32, started acting strange. When I first got diagnosed, he started calling every member of the family and had them visit me at hospital or home with unnecessary gifts that were mostly stuff I can't use. He talked about it on social media. Turned out he got money from people saying that he needed it for my medication, even though medication was available for free. The money went into his pocket clearly. A few relatives sent me stuff like a tablet, but he said he gave it to his younger sister. I had people coming into my house that I've never seen before. He gave his sister also the self-care products his relatives sent him. All I got was blankets only. Whenever we're out or at the store, he'd cut in line and tell people that I have cancer and they should let him go first. He'd park near the hospital entrance and yell at someone that I have cancer, therefore they should give him space, and many more incidents. I told him to stop using my condition as an excuse to treat people poorly, but he didn't listen. Tuesday, he took me to the restaurant and had me order our meal. In exactly 5 minutes, he walked over to the lady who was putting meals on someone else's table. He angrily told her that his wife, me, has cancer and shouldn't wait this long to eat, talked about taking my medication and how long we've been sitting there waiting. He caused a mess, and I got petty stares and wished I could just vanish. I yelled at him in the car for making a scene at the restaurant and how his behavior upsets me and stresses me out. He lashed out that he was doing this and making a joke out of himself for me, and talked about how he's been affected by my illness as well. I told him I won't be going anywhere with him if he keeps doing this. We got home and started calling his mom, wanting her to take money from his siblings because my medications were ruining out. I went into my room feeling horrible and so mad at him for all of this. He's making it worse for me, and he says he's just helping. Not the idiot. Honestly, pack your stuff and move out. Friends, family, doesn't matter, just get away from him. You also need to let everyone know that your husband has been lying to them. Something along the lines of, while I do have cancer, I don't know what husband had been telling everyone. We are not financially strapped, and I am not at death's door. I cannot in good conscience be party to his lies, manipulation and fraud. But seriously, you need to get away from your husband. Not the idiot. At first, I thought maybe your husband was having a hard time with your diagnosis, so he began acting as if you weren't going to make it. He's clearly using your condition to garner sympathy for material gain and preferential treatment. I'd confront him with a list of things he's done that clearly don't make sense. Like asking people for money for medication when your insurance covers the cost. Also, who acts like a jerk in public and offers sensitive information about his wife just to look like this to supposedly make his wife laugh. Not the idiot. This is an awful time to find out, but your husband is not a keeper. I've had cancer and been a nurse for many people with. Friends and relatives do nutty things sometimes, overstep boundaries, freak out, smother the patient, distance themselves, become angry at the world, all sorts of things driven by emotion. There is no universe where lying and coating your illness to obtain money and gifts for himself is anything but reprehensible.